couple schools of thought around consciousness. Is one, it's a collection of atoms that makes consciousness, but then why don't we see it in randomized patterns in nature where those patterns exist? Do those create new forms of consciousness? And then the idea that warps outside of, if it's not just the matter that makes up the consciousness, if there's something else there, that actually rocks experience consciousness. We are just a more complex version of rocks.
I want to throw a consciousness at your head.
Hang on.
Yeah. So are you saying that a
Just think,
chair? Hold on. Can a chair make a truth statement?
just think about this for a second.
No, I understand what you're saying. Can a chair make a truth statement? I understand what you're saying.
The Eiffel Tower is much more complex than a rock that sits on.
It was made by
Okay.
a fucking dude.
Right. So are you like a super chair? Are you like a super Eiffel Tower? Is that all you are?
Basically, consciousness can exist in multiple forms.
My reception's a little bad.
Well,
so I'm gonna
I have a question for Connor, and then not to change the subject too much, we can go back and talk about sentient chairs and all that after I get done with this. But
Happy to talk about sentient chairs.
Connor, in the debate, we kind of talked about kind of changing the Constitution and things like that. I don't know what your thoughts are on Dearborn, Michigan, but I'm curious. Let's just assume for a moment that the Muslims in Dearborn are not the benevolent type that the progressives would have us believe. Let's say they have nefarious ideas in mind, and eventually that state becomes a Muslim state. In your paradigm, how would you? What path forward would you use to stop that or stem that tide?
Well, number one, for stemming the tide, my Muslim friends wouldn't like me saying this, but I overall do think that like immigration from the Middle East and North Africa should be limited, pretty strictly. Now that being said, when you're asking like, well, what do we, we already have this Somali, Lebanese, multiple area population, and maybe they're all undercover Islamists and jihadists. Okay, well, I would say that ship has kind of sailed as far as like birthright citizenship goes. Like it's just done. And so at that point, you just have to prosecute for crimes. So effectively, if somebody engages in jihadism, if they engage in insurrection, if they engage in this, if they engage in that, you're going to have to do counter-terrorist operations.
But what happens if they get enough power where those laws are not crimes anymore? Those aren't crimes anymore.
What's that?
What if they get enough power to where those like they put laws in place where that's not against the law anymore?
Before you answer that, I have a question. How many people here attended public school?
Sharia law. I'm asking. I don't care about that. I'm asking Connor a question. Can you expand on that?
Well, okay, yeah. So, for instance, like there's elements of Sharia that you probably wouldn't like, or maybe you would. I don't know. Like
no, I don't like any of it.
Well, wait, you don't like female moderation laws?
Not to what they go for. No, not putting people in burqas. No, I don't think that. I don't want my women walk around in beekeeper outfits necessarily. No, I think that's kind of weird.
I don't know, Mo. I know some women I've seen around Walmart that could really use a burqa.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They put those burqas on. All you see are their eyes. You don't know what you're getting, man. You take the burqa off, you got a tragedy on your hands. But anyway.
Okay, so sorry, memes aside. So for instance, like I would agree with you, just because I'm probably more liberal than half the people here, that compelled burqas would be not my ideal, right? But then what I would say is that there's other stuff, like, so for instance, divorce. In reference to divorce, Sharia law actually says that you are supposed to, especially if it's like a female initiated divorce, a female can only initiate a divorce within certain things like physical abuse or infidelity or that kind of shit, right? And then it also argues that effectively, like, there is a trial period of separation where a woman and a man, if they decide that divorce is right, they have to do like a 3-month or 6-month period. I forget what it is. So for me, like Sharia in that reference, it's not necessarily nefarious, particularly if both parties voluntarily decide to abide by it. So if some like court in like, let's say that two Muslims go to like the local courthouse and they say, hey, we're getting divorced, but we actually want our civil dispute to be resolved via Sharia. Here are the outlines for it. I don't have a fucking problem with that as long as it's voluntary.
Okay, so
But
talking about Sharia law, what do you think about the jizya? Because I know about 5 of
The
us up here that'd be
jizya, what
forced to
the
pay the
tax
jizya.
that non-Muslims have to pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's constitutional.
But
in the
not,
United States
on,
of
not
America.
only,
I
not
don't think that would
only,
ever
not
be
only do
enforceable
we,
within the United States.
not only will we have to pay a certain tax just to be Christian and just to exist as Christian, under Sharia law, we are not allowed to practice our religion openly and freely. This is contrary to our founding principles here in the United States. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So if it's not constitutional, then it would be prohibited.
So another question: can you separate Islam from Sharia? Can you secularize Sharia?
Well, I argue that you can. Some people argue that you can't. The reason why I would argue that you can, because once again, like being Muslim actually has like a really low barrier to entry. The barrier to entry is, once again, it's like believe in God, the last day,
Below
do
80
good
IQ.
works, and then believe that Muhammad is God's messenger. That's like the entirety of.
all right, but going back to my
there's far
hypothetical,
more than
we're
3
I said
caveats
we're
to
assuming they're
Islam.
not we're not the benevolent types, right? Let's assume they have nefarious
Well, then they're
means, like
2.4% of the population. Okay, answering that guy's question though, if there was a hostile takeover of Minnesota, then of course you would just do.
no, not hostile. No, that's not how that's not how they work. They the Muslims, they move in and they take their time and they spread. You can look at the Crusades and how that happened. The Crusaders were constantly like beating the heck out of these guys. Then they would parlay, and then they would act like they were gonna be benevolent. And then as soon as the first chance they got, they'd stab them in the back or go back on everything they said.
Yeah.
This is a constant.
Wait, so okay, so hold on. Even though Muslims are exclusively 2.4% of the population, you're worried that they're going to become a majority demographic within the state of Michigan. Then once they become a majority of the state of Michigan, they'll benevolently vote in Sharia law, and it'll be effectively like a Muslim state with a majority.
I'm
Muslim
saying
state
by
within
your
the United
own
States.
things you list in the debate, even if they go from the state level and then they just keep spreading, what's to stop them from going to the government level and change the Constitution?
Yep.
How are you going to stop this?
I would say probably the fact that they're 2.4% of the population.
Right now, do you know how
happened to London? 40 years.
Yeah.
So,
40 years.
Well, for fertility rates, almost all fertility
Dude,
rates.
they fuck their cousins. They can breed like crazy, so they don't have to worry about it. They can just
Look,
go right there, and then they breed like rabbits.
The argument that they're only a
trying
minority,
to-
the argument that
trying
they're
to-
only a
No,
minority
I got a
in the
question.
population is really ignoring the history, because these small violent minorities have taken over many countries. The Islamic Revolution in Iran, the people in Germany, the mustache people. I mean, to say that's just a really stupid argument in favor of ignoring the dangers when you say, well, they're only 2.something% of the people.
It's suicidal empathy.
Of the population
How many-
with enough
how many
guns and
jihadists-
violent
okay,
tendencies
number
can take
one.
over the country.
The street shooting off some like automatic weapons in the air. They're not
Yeah,
gonna like.
I think the
arrest them.
American military and American law enforcement can handle the jihadists.
until the left gets out there and protests against them for violating.
Until the
rights of
police
brown
are the jihadists. What are you talking about?
Oh, the left that defends gun rights.
Could you address my point, though? Can you address my point, counterpoint? Can you address my point that historically speaking, all revolutions begin and end with a very violent, very small minority in a culture, and the mass of the society looks at their feet because they don't want to die.
Okay,
Americans don't even want to be
Nazis-
uncomfortable.
Hold on, stop. All right, you asked a
MAGA.
question. I'm getting annoyed. I'm going to answer your question.
I don't care if you're getting annoyed, man. You can suck it up and answer it, man, and grow a real beard.
Hey,
Very
Counterpoint's
nice,
beard
dude.
is fucking
Go fuck
badass.
yourself. So, anyways,
That's fucking.
number
Why
one.
don't you get a room with him,
If
Base?
you go to the
Jeez.
history of everybody, shut the fuck up. If you go to the history of Nazi Germany, no. Okay, yeah, the militants might have been a minority, but the Nazi Party had broad popular support. If you go to
That's
the
not
Iranian
true.
Revolution, shut up. You ask a question, I'm going to answer it.
I'm just
When you go
pointing
to
out that
Iran,
that's not
shut
true.
up. Shut up.
Or
When you
what?
go to Iran,
Or what? You
when
gonna
go
cry?
to the Iranian, shut the fuck up.
That
Shut
sounded
up.
real manly.
You asked the question. Shut the fuck up.
Let him finish. Let him
Say
finish.
it from your ovaries, counterpoint. Say it from your uterus.
Hey, let him finish.
Ohio.
Let him
They
finish.
give you a fucking titty twister the likes of
That's
which
a Stream
never
Deck
had
asset.
before. Okay, shut the fuck up. Belief
You
is
look
that
at the feet.
330 million Americans armed with 400 millions of guns and 1 trillion rounds of ammo could easily destroy the federal
But we're
government
not
of the
even
United
talking
States.
about that. We're talking about them using the legal system to go through the government and slowly replace people with people that
Psychological
agree with
warfare.
them.
2
It's
weeks
a-
to
it's
flatten the
slow
curve
burn.
lasted
Shadow.
4 years. Or 3
If you think
years.
that's not possible, then how do we get Dearborn, Michigan?
Also, how do we get it so it's totally
How do we
legal
get
to
Dearborn,
steal?
Michigan? Hold on,
Be
I
honest
want
here,
to answer
Mo.
that
Do you
question
think
real quick.
Dearborn, Michigan is
Christian
equivalent
missionaries,
to, like,
Christian
make-
missionaries in the 1980s felt bad for Somalis because Somalia was going through one of the worst civil wars in history that killed hundreds of thousands of people. And so as a result, due to Christian charity, they reached out to the communities in Somalia and sponsored them to immigrate to the United States. That's how you got
Is that a good thing?
Dearborn,
So
Michigan.
suicidal empathy, like you're
Is that a good
doing
thing or
right
a
now?
bad thing?
I don't know. I'm chill with Muslims.
You're chill with Muslims.
Chills with Muslim.
Yes.